Hello, everybody. Today I'll be presenting you my interview and portfolio activity for my computer science class. Here is my web page. This is just an introduction on the home page. This is also just an introduction of the top 10 list. And this is where I talk about more of the modules. I have all of my top 10 modules listed here. And one of my first questions relates to a number of the modules, and I picked the question, summarize your experience with Khan Academy. So during this course, we were required to follow a pretty long Khan Academy program in order to introduce us to coding in JS. This program was composed of lessons, challenges, quizzes, and projects that each student could follow along individually and learn on their own time. This allows students to take their learning into their own hands without much guidance from a teacher, which many students enjoy. This also resembles many free online courses that are available to the public, which may influence the students to try similar programs for different languages. This can allow students to broaden their knowledge and further develop their programming skills, as well as open them up to more job internship opportunities that they will be more versed in different languages. However, having said that, I do not believe that Khan Academy was ideal for my learning style. For the most part, I felt that the lessons were a bit confusing, and I felt that there were unnecessary details that could have been left out in order to make the lessons more clear. And since it's not someone who's physically teaching you, it limits your opportunities to ask questions. I did find the challenges and projects, however, useful, as they gave me some experience with larger products and in larger ways that I could incorporate my code. However, since there were so many that were due in such a short period of time, it led me to feel very overwhelmed, and I didn't enjoy coding them as much as I usually would. The quizzes were still useful as they were a nice reminder of the lessons that you had just done, and they were very helpful to check your understanding. But as I mentioned earlier, I found this method of learning somewhat difficult to understand. I think that the program may work for someone who is familiar with this language, but I found out that starting a new language like this without prior knowledge was not as useful as a teacher going through lessons and then coding programs based on those lessons for me. For these reasons, I believe that it's possible Khan Academy could have worked for other students, but I did not have the most positive experience for the most part. The next question that I chose was, what does it mean to have good programming practices? And I believe this one relates a little bit to our hackathon and our coding challenge, because since it was partner work, it was really important that mostly our hackathon. Since it was partner work, it was really important that it was very neat, and everything I'm going to talk about in here was very important because your partner is going to read the code and try to build theirs around that. So to me, good coding practices means to write your code in the most clear and concise way possible to avoid confusion and errors and to increase efficiency. To put this into perspective, you wouldn't want to write 10 pages of instructions for a task that could be explained in one, because that's not only a waste of your time, but it's a waste of whoever's time is reading the instructions, because they now have to read 10 pages instead of one. In this similar fashion, adding unnecessary bits to your code not only loses your time, but also the time of anyone reviewing or looking at your work. Furthermore, unnecessary pieces of code may slow down the program, and it can make it more susceptible to errors that may be hard to find, correct, and work around. It is also part of good programming practices to document your code and ensure it's tidy so you or anyone else can read the code easily and fix any errors if necessary. I find myself sometimes forgetting this when I am having trouble getting a program to work for a long period of time. Frustration begins to build up, and I'll try out different bits of code until I find something that works. This typically leads to more issues later on because errors will pop up when changing something that I believed was unrelated. I've been making an effort to fix this habit by doing extra research when I run into an issue, as well as recognizing when something is not done in a very concise way. I've also neglected the documentation of my code in the past, or my neatness due to time crunches, but I will try to consider this when I can. My next question that I picked is, how will you continue to learn about computer science? And I will focus on the coding challenge for this one because I mentioned later on about making larger games, and I believe that the coding challenge was my largest game that I've made so far, and it was very beneficial for me for the following reasons. So, I believe that anyone, including myself, could take a lot out of this class and learn a number of new concepts. But I also believe that this course could inspire anyone to learn more about computer science. I believe that the units we went over were very interesting and that there are many things someone could continue with, not only from a coding standpoint, but also from a research standpoint. We covered a lot of topics that may not have been known to everybody and could create a newfound interest and spark a research project such as internet accessibility and knowledge. I also think that from a coding standpoint, after creating small projects and games, many people may want to explore other possibilities with code as they know the feeling of joy after creating something thought out and executed by themselves. And although I will no longer be taking computer science courses in high school, and I'm not yet sure if I will be pursuing computer science in university, I will continue to code and learn about coding. I've always wanted to code a large project, so I've been brainstorming ideas for a while. So I hope that when I have time in between university and high school, I'll be able to put that dream into reality. I'm very excited to start as I enjoy working on larger projects, especially one where I have creative control. And I would also like to learn Java, and I plan on taking a course after high school to learn this language. I believe that knowing this language would really help me broaden my knowledge and help me to code certain games that I'm interested in. Those are all my interview questions. Thank you so much for listening to me. Have a great day.